So I got Dhruv to talk about GH7, and because he's been using the camera more than I am doing currently, and he has a lot of point of views in terms of how the camera performs and what actually the camera is about. Dhruv, so tell me, like, once you caught hold of the GH7, what's the first thing that you thought of?
I just thought of, how rugged it is, to be honest. I mean, it's a very rugged body, not too heavy, but, I always like chunkier bodies, which give you a good grip. Like the good old days, when we had the DSLR days, when we had like big DSLRs. So I got that familiar feeling. I think it was familiar, what I felt. When I first time I used it, and I think we go way back with micro four third cameras.
Yeah, let's talk about like GH4, like how GH4 came, and like revolutionized the entire camera market.
We got our eyes on Lumix on the GH4, and when we were planning to buy the GH4, suddenly the GH5 launched. I think this was in 2017, and we got a couple of bodies of GH5. GH5s and a lot of lenses, and how it revolutionized, if you ask me, just empowering us, empowering the creators, empowering filmmakers like us who are in automobile. We like to shoot, we are kind of adrenaline junkies.
Yeah, because before that we used to have an external recorder to get the 10-bit footage out of the cameras.
Yeah.
I think GH4 was one of the cameras that introduced 10-bit 4K recording.
Not sure about GH4, but GH5 definitely had 10-bit recording in 25 FPS. So if we were shooting in 25 FPS in 4K, we had 10-bit color at that point of time.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of taking those shots on that body compared to what the other bodies we had at that point of time, I think it was a different, high-speed shooting. We used to get excellent slow motion at that point of time. The other brand of cameras, I think the main problem was the reliability at the end of the day, because we used to be,
it took forever to just boot the camera.
Yeah.
I remember.
And we used to shoot in Thar Desert. A lot of places where
heat issues. Yes, heat
issues were there. In 4K especially, a lot of the cameras couldn't handle the heat at that point of time because the cooling was lacking. So GH5 was our favorite camera, and people used to kind of underestimate its overall image quality and the colors. Because if you see Savage, a music video that we had done for Karan,
way back,
it was in 2018, and Sumit also color graded it very well. The look that we used to get, I think it was comparable to Red and the other high-end cinema cameras rather than the normal DSLRs that
people were unable to identify which camera this is.
Yeah. It was a bragging right for us for a long time in Savage.
I think that's where we also inclined towards Lumix and started investing in the lenses, in the camera bodies.
Yeah, especially in BIC, I remember, Buddha International Circuit, we used to take the GH5 with the Leica 100 to 400 lens.
Correct.
Which used to become 200 to 800 in terms of, the full frame size.
Correct.
And the footprint of that lens was smaller than a 70-200.
Imagine.
Equivalent of a full frame. So, yeah, I mean,
like very small lenses, but the quality was really amazing. Especially the Leica lenses, I remember, they were like, I think they were the cherry on the top, because I remember shooting from variable lenses, but we were like not inclined towards.
My favorite lenses at that point of time were 25mm f1.4. So it translated to 50mm f2.8 in full frame, So it was a lovely all-round lens. I used to use that all the time, and the footage that we used to get in 25 FPS. We've always loved shooting in 25 FPS, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because 50 FPS seems like kind of a compromise.
Correct.
It's a middle ground. So either you want to do super slow-mo, or you want to go real time.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we've always been inclined towards comparatively.
Yeah.
So specifically in that sense, at that point of time, even today, I cut a reel from our old footage of Buddha International Circuit.
And GH5 footage.
The other cameras at that point of time when GH5 used to exist, those are not relevant in today's time.
Correct.
But GH5 is still relevant, And now coming to GH7. Oh my God. GH7 is like, when I first held it, just the familiar feeling, because to be honest, I like chunkier cameras, the big heavy guns. And the best thing is, even though the body of the camera is built like a proper tank.
Correct.
The lenses are still MFT, so they are very lightweight, and even if I want to go on a hike, or I want to just go on an adventure and just carry less weight while not compromising on the quality. I think GH7 cannot be beat in that sense. And if you talk about the technicalities, 6K 50 FPS, you have 4K 100 FPS.
Correct.
You have open gate, which is the resolution is unimaginable in that. I think it records in 5,700 something into 4,700.
Beyond 6K. Basically.
So you're literally like, you're recording almost a square, a very high resolution square, which can be converted into either landscape or vertical at any point of time.
Imagine.
So the readout of the camera, there's an filmmaking, I think, especially action filmmaking, is all about moments. The moments and the adrenaline stunts that happen, a lot of things are happening which go by like this.
Correct.
And if you're not able to get your camera out in time, then you lose out. So GH7, I think, is the most reliable camera in terms of capturing action sequences specifically.
In Herschel, we were shooting, and I remember booting the camera and hitting the record button like simultaneously also. And it was performing. And I think there was like minus 18, 19 degrees, whatever. I don't know like exactly what the temperature was at that point of time. The camera performing at that temperature and with this, this speed is like unimaginable, like I don't even think about, just putting the camera to off and, booting it again and, shooting from it.
The readout is incredible. I mean, and even if, what happens is, because we keep using full frame bodies as well, eventually these are tools for us. So we see that being a full frame camera has its own disadvantages as well. That people
especially
tend,
the lenses,
especially with the lenses and just the overall ruggedness of the body.
Correct.
Because if you see, I think S1H is one of the bodies that Lumix made, which can truly, and S1H. Those are the bodies which truly can hold a full frame in its chassis with good cooling and good performance and good reliability. GH7 in that sense is perfect for its sensor. It's very rugged, it's very fast, and one thing which specially stands out for action filmmaking, which is the rolling shutter, which is minimal. So the rolling shutter is very minimal in this camera. I think we were taking tracking shots of our team, Prateek and Ankit. They were doing.
We were just moving the camera like anything, left to right.
I'm talking about one more shoot that we did earlier in the highway, the Delhi-Dehradun Expressway.
Yes, I remember.
It was locked off for us, so we did a shoot there. So at that point of time, we were checking the rolling shutter. So we were doing, at 25 FPS, open gate, which produces the most rolling shutter, first of all. If you see open gate and the full resolution of any camera produces the most rolling shutter for that camera. But we were taking tracking shots in, let's say, 80 to 85 km per hour, which is the limit of the gimbal. Normal gimbals give up after that. And there was minimal rolling shutter, and that is one of the advantages of MFT as well. People take it very negatively, like it's chota sensor hai, but they don't know that Super 35, which is only a bit larger than MFT, has been used to make, has been used to make 99% of the films in the past. It's only now that, full frame has come in.
All the feature films, I think, has been shot on Super 35, and
and even today they keep using it. So one of the finest cameras, I think, GH7, especially for people like us who are very action oriented. Even if you go for cinematic, the autofocus.
It's unimaginable.
I have not seen autofocus performance like this.
Not even in competitor cameras,
Literally. I will show you a few shots. I mean, we don't have to.
Well, you don't even have to think about it, it's like that precise.
The camera is very smart. A lot of whether you're shooting humans, animals, whatever you want to focus on, the body, face, you can just dial in whatever settings you want. Even if you don't dial in, the camera is very smart in itself. If you ask me, the pros are just overwhelming with this camera. But as always, we do have a few cons, and I think one of the biggest cons is the small sensor, but it can be mitigated to a large extent by using wide aperture lenses. So
Yeah, but Dhruv, also like a lot of people don't need full frame sensors, you know.
I agree.
The
I agree.
requirement is very different for a lot of people.
And
Say if I have to go for a trekking or maybe a mountain adventure, you know, like this is a camera with the kind of lenses it has. I think it's the best in the market, you know, like you can't beat it with anything in the market currently. And Lumix has always been known for its macro four third.
Yes, yes. Just
but
one
but I
more-
agree because you know sometimes full frame has a different field of view altogether. You know.
So I think just to sum it up, you know, the only con is the small sensor, but GH7 and Lumix has capitalized on that sensor to bring you more performance in the
Correct.
camera.
Yeah.
And also, one more point is that the smaller sensor can be mitigated a lot if you use a wide open lens. Like we
Yes.
were using the 42.5 Leica lens,
Yeah.
which is f1.2, so that translates to 85 mm f2.4.
Yeah.
Which is quite a lot of depth of field, if you ask
Yeah.
me. You know, we usually like to shoot in f3.5 to f4 in full frame, just to get
at
the
a
space of the
lot
field.
At a lot of times, you know, when we were shooting open gate from this camera, do you remember we were not able to make the difference between full frame and
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, if you see our reels or if you see our films, so we have one GH7 and we have several other, you know, S5 2X, S9, a lot of other Lumix bodies that we use with a variety of lenses.
correct.
But I don't think you'll be able to make out that which is which. I think the wow factors will be more in GH7 because you have the 100 FPS, you know, you're
6K
getting,
50 FPS.
you have 6K 50 FPS. So it's just excellent. And the cost, man, I mean, what they're offering in that price, I don't think it's underrated, and I feel it will change with time. I think people will get more aware in that sense. But yeah, I think that's what we are here for, just to bring awareness to you guys, and you know, it's just to get a different look and feel also. You know, at the end of the day, it's not just, it's about the feeling of the camera, and specifically two lenses. If you ask me, the Leica 12mm and Leica 42.5mm.
Yeah, they are like
Those
which is equals to 12mm is equals to
12mm f1.4 is the Leica lens, which is exactly equal to 24mm f2.8.
yeah,
And the other lens is exactly equivalent to 85mm f2.4.
correct.
So a lot of shallow depth of field in both of the lenses, and just the feel. I cannot explain it to you. You'll have to see the footage which comes off the 12mm Leica. It's just out of this world, you know. You get that soft feeling, you know.
Yeah.
It's just not about the sharpness. Sharpness is one thing, and
Yeah.
but I think we've always despised digital sharpness,
Yeah, man.
and we always like to get that detail. I mean, the detail should be there, but if you see something with your eyes in
Correct.
real life, it
Correct.
looks very organic.
Yeah,
It looks very soft, even in harsh sunlight.
correct.
I think one of the main apprehensions that we had earlier on was the low light performance of this camera, because GH5 was also not that good in that
Correct.
regard.
Correct.
The grains used to come in early on, you know, and all that. As soon as we're talking about, you know, indoor dark environment, it used to not perform that well. Recently, the gig that we did, you know, Ritvik used the GH7, and just look at the footage. The indoor footage which is coming. It's literally even the LED lights, which are like, you know, very basic, very entry level stuff. Even those lights are
Event LED lights.
Yeah, event LED lights, which are anti-cinema.
Anti-cinema actually,
Yeah,
yes.
so to be honest.
But they were also looking very good, you know.
Yeah,
And with a little spark of your color grading on that, basically.
we didn't do much, but yeah, I think the camera itself does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. We just tweak it a little bit, you know.
When we're talking about colors, I wanted to talk about, you know, the Arri Log of this camera. So you've been, you know, like grading Arri Log, like
We've done a
we have
feature
received
film.
this, yeah, we've done a feature film
It
grading.
will be released this year, I think. It's
Yeah.
called Missouri Boys.
Yeah.
So Arri Log C, you know, first of all, the name Arri, you know, wherever it comes, it sparks an emotion
Yeah.
for filmmakers like us. Now, coming to the technicalities, I think there are a couple of very good use case scenarios for Arri Log C. First of all of the, you know, premium LUTs which are there in the market,
Yeah.
they use Arri Log C as a base. and then they convert into a creative LUT, which gives you a very good look. Now, if this camera is able to shoot in Arri Log C, then you're able to use LUTs which were made for like the higher end Arri cinema line cameras, you know.
Correct.
So that's a very big advantage.
I think in the post-production stage, and especially the grading stage, it helps you. You know, like when you're working with Arri cameras and, you know, getting this camera in Arri Log C.
And even if you're doing a feature film or a commercial, and you have good budgets, you know.
Correct.
You're not satisfied with the look of a GoPro or a very basic action cam.
Correct.
This can be a very good action cam in a project where, you know, let's say a Vari cam or an LF is a cam.
Yeah.
Is the A cam. It could be a very good B cam in that sense. So, yeah, I mean, excellent. And just the colors that you get straight out of the camera with just a simple LUT conversion is very similar to the look which an Arri gives you. It has that little bit of, you know, greenish tint, and the skin pops out differently.
Correct.
So Vlog is more towards the redder side, what I've felt, and Arri Log is more. Arri Log, I think, has more colored contrast. What I felt, more separation. Like skin is different. Skin is kind of red and orange only.
Yeah.
But the background is going a little cooler.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, Arri Log in that sense, and in this camera we have that. I hope, you know, Lumix brings this to the full frame bodies as well in the future.
We're really looking forward to it, you know.
Absolutely.
To be honest, you know, when we were working with GH5 and then the S1H got introduced, you know. And as soon as it got introduced, we invested in it, you know, like we bought one of the cameras, and I think that
S1H was the gold standard for a long time, and until S5 2X came along.
Yes.
And I don't think even S5 2X was the true replacement for that.
Yeah, because we still miss that, what do you call that filter?
The optical low pass filter. OLPF, which comes in S1H, it's missing in almost all of the cameras in the market.
I don't know what it does, but it gives you that film feeling, you know, like
you know, it's literally a physical filter, which is in front of your sensor, and that just the look of the image becomes cinematic in that sense. You don't get digital sharpness, which we despise.
Yeah.
And moire goes away, chromatic aberration goes away.
Correct.
And I mean, what more do you need than that? Because recently, when we were doing this music video, we had problem of moire when, you know, we were shooting LED screens.
Yes.
And they were coming near to the screen. We were just, you know, chatting ki S1H hona chahiye tha. But, you know, S1H has become a little old. It's due for replacement. And I think the next successor which comes for S1H will be a benchmark once again, because, you know, it was an aspirational camera for us. Very emotional for us when S1H came along. You know, 6K.
After that only we basically invested into Sirui anamorphic lenses, the 7 artisan lenses.
Even today, S1H, even if you take it out today, it's a different beast, you know. It can't die.
Yeah.
It can't die at all. It has cooling fans inbuilt.
Imagine.
The articulation of the screen is very complicated. Like it kind of comes out like this as well, and it can rotate, flip out, and then come out as well.
Imagine.
So best of both worlds. It's a very different camera.
Thank you, Dhruv, for your insights on GH7.
And we could chat about it.
And I think you guys have understood the camera and its dynamics the way Dhruv explained. And I think Dhruv has like a very critical insight, you know, and that's why I wanted him to, you know, talk about this camera. And yeah, man, thanks.
Let's go.